Guys, welcome back to the One Step at a Time podcast with your host, the Ocean Flight from 111 heading straight to full potential with zero delays. And guys, today I'm very blessed to have a guest who is from Nottingham, the Midlands of England. He's a songwriter, producer, performer whose music is streamed over 30 million times across platforms. With a sound that can only be described as Joni Mitchell meets J. Cole, this artist has crafted quite the career. His lyrics are known for its unvarnished truth and heartfelt expression, while his calm and sensual voice adds an undeniable magic that pulls the listener in every time. To some of his students, they may know him as Mr. Francis, but the world knows him as Joel Baker. Joel, what is the crack? How are you?
I love that. That was beautiful. Thank you, man.
No worries at all, man.
Appreciate it.
I got that Joni Mitchell meets J. Cole. It was on your Facebook bio.
Oh, really? That's so funny. You know what? I can't. That Facebook page now is just like forever in stone. I actually have no access to it.
Oh,
Yeah,
mad.
it's been like my Facebook got hacked like about 3-4 years ago, and I just have never been able to get it back. So whatever it is, it will be that for the rest of my life.
Bruh.
But so it could have been worse. To be fair, could have put all sorts of nonsense on it. So yeah. J. Cole meets Joni Mitchell. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, man. It's quite the combination. So you're from Nottingham. I was reading on your Rap Genius, you said that you lost the accent a little bit, but not an umbrella. Whenever you say umbrella, it still comes back out.
That's funny. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, the umbrella. People are like, wait a minute, where are you from? I mean, it's not a word that you say that much, do you know what I mean? But any kind of use, it's like, it kind of comes out a little bit. But most people are like, I don't know where you're from. Are you from East London? Are you from somewhere up north? To be honest with you, I never really had a massive Nottingham accent, even when I was living in Nottingham, to be honest. But any kind of Nottingham-y kind of dialogue that I had is kind of gone now. I've been living in London for like 15 years, bro.
Wowzers.
Yeah, I feel as much a Londoner as a Nottingham boy.
Shout out Professor Green. He has a song called... Oh, no, Chip has a song called I'm a Londoner, featuring Professor Green. Yeah, Nottingham. So I was doing my bits of due diligence. So you're 13. You're in the loft? Before you were 13, you hear your dad introduces you to Pink Floyd, and you're underneath the Simpsons quilts. What happens the moment you turn on the Walkman and you hear Pink Floyd?
I love that. Yeah, that is the story. I've been listening to a lot of like before then. I just been like any kid, just been listening to like loads of like really weird bad songs. Like the first album I ever bought was like it was an album by the Smurfs.
The Smurfs. What?
like the blue characters with the little white hats, and they did like a whole album of like Smurf remixes of loads of pop songs. So I was just like blasting that out, like, you know, thinking I was great. And I think my dad was just like, nah, this can't actually run. Do you know what I mean? This is actually awful. So let me put you onto some real music. And so yeah, he was like, yeah, take this album and listen to it, particularly track 4. The track 4 is like the Great Gig in the Sky, and it's just like the most unbelievable, beautiful song ever. But you know, as like a young kid as well, the beautiful thing about being like an early teenager is that everything is new, right? So you're like listening to the first time you ever listened to Dark Side of the Moon, you're like, I've never heard anything like this in my life. Blow my mind. Yeah, man. So that was very pivotal for me. That was like open the door of like what music could be and what it could do to you.
So what was it like? I guess so. You started as a guitarist. What was the journey then, the transition? I know you spoke about before how in school you couldn't really chat with your friends or anything, maybe about love or whatnot. Thus, you gravitated towards love songs. So what was them early years of hearing magic of like Pink Floyd and learning guitar and then beginning to like express yourself maybe in this method you hadn't done before?
It was almost like came out of like necessity. Pretty much. That's how I started songwriting anyway. Because like you said, I was very much like my identity was a guitarist. So I had loads of pictures of like Jimi Hendrix on the wall and all of that. And I would buy like guitar magazines every month, and like guitar wasn't really my thing. And I felt good at it, and I felt very comfortable there. in terms of like in terms of singing, I was like, I hate this, and I never want to show anybody. Like, I'm so embarrassed of my voice. Even if I did like sing like gently in my room or whatever, my brother would remind me like, "Yo, you got your voice is awful, man."
Why are you singing, bro? Turn that off, bro.
like every good brother should. Do you know what I mean? They're like, and yeah, I was also in a duo in Nottingham, and it was very much the roles where I was a guitarist and he was a singer. So like, it was never a thing for me to like be a singer, but I did always write songs because, like you said, I didn't really have another way to express myself. So I wrote them almost just as like a comfort blanket to myself to kind of explain how I was feeling to myself in a way, but not to show anyone.
What was that experience like? Because I'm a big believer in everyone can sing. Like, if you have the passion, you can learn to sing. And now, not everyone's going to be Adele out here, okay? Don't think everyone should be Adele out here. But you're about, that is something that a lot of artists struggle with at the beginning, being comfortable with their voice and finding their voice. Did that take a long time to find it and be confident? Or was it kind of a nerve-wracking experience just going through the motions?
Yeah, it definitely was. It definitely was nerve wracking. It came from a little bit of like, a lot of encouragement from a lot of people, and also just almost just like a bit of comfort from my own heroes. So, like I said, I mean, like I loved Jimi Hendrix. Like he was a real idol to me, and a big part of Jimmy's journey is like how embarrassed he was about his own voice. Like he would record in the studio with these big studio dividers up all around him so no one could see him when he was singing.
Oh, what?
He was so embarrassed about his own voice. It's also like Bob Dylan was a big hero of mine as well, still is, and he has a voice that some people are like, that is the worst voice in the world.
It's a unique voice. Give him that. It's definitely unique.
So I think I got a little bit of like solidarity and comfort from the fact that, you know what, some of my favorite artists actually have voices that aren't deemed as universally amazing voices. And then also there was a thing of, I remember when I first moved to London as well, I feel like whenever you move to a new place, you're just like somebody new, right? So it's not, people don't know you, and so people didn't know me in London. People didn't know me as a guitarist. I'm just
fresh
like
start, fresh plate.
Yeah, and there was a couple of moments really, but the first moment was when I was just like singing and stuff in my flat in London, and there was this guy that I'd never met before, and he was like, "Oh, I really like your voice." I was like, "Really?" Like, I always thought it was a bit like weird and stuff, and he was like, "Yeah, but weird's good. Like, weird is what's gonna make you like stand out." And I'd never really heard that before, particularly about myself. And then like fast forward a few weekends after that, I met a bunch of producers and stuff just randomly through meeting a guy called Brewer. And I was in the studio and I offered to like share an idea for like a chorus in this studio thing. I'd gone there really primarily to like put down some guitar stuff, but I was like, what about this for a chorus? And they were like, "Oh wow, that's really cool. I really like that, and I really like your voice," type of thing. So it kind of just changed all of my infrastructure from being somebody that was so pigeonholed as like, "Oh yeah, you're just like guitarist, just stay in your lane," to as like, "Oh, you know what? Like these people in London kind of think that my voice is all right." It's obviously very, very raw, and back then, man, yeah, it was it was rough around the edges, bro. I didn't even know how to sing really, but after that, I got some singing lessons and really helped.
Sick. It's so interesting because often when artists say they're inspired by people, so like, "Oh man, I'm influenced by the Beatles," you listen to their music and you're like, I don't want to hear the Beatles in your music, but they say they're inspired. But with your case, you really can, because, so say from Hendrix to Bob Dylan, and also know you're a Kanye fan. So just because I'm a rapper, I'm always going to connect with the lyricism over everything.
Yeah.
But you're like Bob Dylan. I only got into Bob Dylan the last couple of years. And Bob Dylan and Kanye aren't too far afield, because every line is simple, but it means so much.
Yeah.
And especially with Kanye, because, and the similarity again, you were a guitarist, Kanye was a producer, wanted to be an artist, you morphed into the artist you are. So like, when you were growing up listening to Kanye, when I listen to your lyricism, it's every line, you're like, you're very good, and every lyric is potent, and you're very good at summing up so much in that one line. and it's a bear every time. It's all killer, no filler. Shout out Sum 41, I think. So like, was that direct when you were starting that writing process? Because you're finding your voice. What was the writing process like?
Really, really, really good question. Yeah, that was the writing side of things was like, oh man, I just always loved. That's still the bit that excites me the most out of everything, in a way. Kind of all the singing part is just kind of, to me, is just like a way to kind of get out the lyrics. You see what I mean?
Love that.
Like that's what it is for me personally. Yeah, I mean, kind of growing up with, that kind of like Chicago hip hop, and also my dad was a big Bob Dylan fan, so I just naturally inhaled a lot of that sort of storytelling and way of singing. I think it was like quite quick and folky, and it being all about the lyric as well, rather than anything else. So I mean, I was lucky enough to be just like, I just always loved words. I think that's what it was. Loved, like,
feel that, man. I feel that.
Yeah. So like I think that's also what made me naturally kind of gravitate towards when I was in London. Just because I don't know why it even happened, but just naturally gravitated more towards like rappers and rap producers and that kind of crowd. And I think it's because like it was this shared kind of awe of just like bars and lyrics, you know. And even though my music was so different to theirs, but they had like such a respect for what I was trying to do, and I think it was because of the lyrics. Whereas in some of the folky circles, I feel like they got excited about slightly different things to me, like excited about, you know, some of the melodies or kind of the guitar, techie guitar riffs and stuff like that. And whereas that's all kind of cool to me, but it doesn't bring me alive the way that, you know what I mean, a bar does. And so that very much shaped my early writing, was that every song that I wrote is like I wanted to impress these guys that were rappers and rap producers. I mean, they'd be in with Getz and Scorcher on Monday, Tuesday, and then be in with me on Wednesday. And I had to, you know, like, and I was trying to impress them, but just kind of like in the same way, but just in a different kind of format. I think that's why that still shapes me still today, even though I don't see those guys a lot at all. Still when I'm writing, I'm a little bit like, like when they hear this, I want them to be like, oh yeah, that was cool.
I think it sets a level too. I think it's really important. Not that like you're writing it for them, but it's a certain part, it's a certain level, it's a certain distinction. Like you're aiming for like a certain merit.
That's a good way of putting it. I like that.
When it was actually interesting, because I always find this, well, a couple of things there is that man, I always find that like pop singers, folk singers, if they love rap, that makes them such a better artist, because it's like, if you can crack rap, then it's just about bringing some of that into like the main of what you're doing in your music. Like Ed's so good at it. Like that's why I love it. Like I only became an Ed Sheeran fan really in the last couple of months when I realized how.
Really?
Oh yeah, man, I was listening to, because I started listening to his music anyways, and I was listening to Photograph. I was doing some work on it. It was about 4:30 yesterday. And bruh, I was getting fucking imaginary heartbreak listening to Photograph at 4:30. A little tear in my eye. I was like, man, these lyrics hit, bruh. Wowzers. So I'm only getting into Ed now. Shout out my boy Ed.
Ed is an amazing writer.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Right? Next level. One thing I want to touch on, Joel, I don't know if you still do this, but you spoke about before how sometimes your favorite song, you will get the chords and then write your own song over it. Is that still something you practice, or is that something maybe you used to do?
Yeah, all the time. Absolutely.
Yeah. Is it hard to write your own lyrics over and not use the same melodies and kind of make something new over the chords, or is it just kind of effortless at this point?
That's a really good question. I think it's because I'm so like not melody focused. It doesn't I don't fall, like, I haven't got that stuck in my head. Yeah. Like honestly, like really, really not at all. But the chords just give it a certain like Yeah, I will. I will say that. I will say the only time that I found that to be like where I felt like I was slightly like copying a little bit was I wrote a song called Rupee Core, and my favorite song at the time was by a guy called Ryan Adams called Dear Chicago. This was before Ryan Adams got kind of cancelled.
I didn't know he got cancelled.
So you got bad with me on that
got
one. You. But yeah, at the time, Dear Chicago was my favorite song in the world. I was like, this is the greatest song ever. And so I kind of used, I used a lot of the same. I'm not even sure if I purposely went and got the chords, but the chords are pretty much the same. And when I listened to both of those songs side by side, I'm like, oh yeah, this is very much like a remake of Dear Chicago. Like I was I was sketching around the edges of kind of copying there, but hopefully in a way that's more paying homage than directly copying. I wasn't purposely trying to. I think that's because I was just replaying that song so much.
It happens
at that time. But no, on the whole, just like, yeah, if I am stuck for inspiration, and I will just be like, why does this song sound so good, and go straight to the chords. There was when I did the Hush Down My Fears song with Madison, there was a Leon Bridges song at the time that I was listening to called Yesterday, something like, I think what was it? Something. Oh, I think it's called That Was Yesterday. And I was like, why does this chorus feel so good? Like, it just feels unbelievable. And so I went to the chorus and just very much just kind of used the same type of chord structure, like, and then just wrote a song over it. I would recommend that for any songwriter.
For any record labels, music publishers, nothing was sampled in the process of any of this music. Zero was sampled. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely no samples. Just
samples.
Just a few chords
here and there.
The same. You can come for me if you want. I've got a good one.
I might need to contact that lawyer soon, bro. I'm trying to clear samples out here. Joel, you spoke about obviously meeting Nick. Shout out Nick Brewer, great rapper. What was that? I want to bring you back to that period. I'm trying to there's so much to touch on that we could be here hours, but I'm trying to place everything the right way. What was that like, moving from Nottingham as essentially still a kid down to London? Because you follow the path that so many artists do, moving from like a small town or smaller town to the big city, like the dreams, the new horizons. What was that like initially moving down to London?
Just like just the greatest experience ever, and I just feel so lucky, feel so blessed to have made that move, and also to have made that move and for it to work out, because I have a lot of friends that come here in different type of scenarios. It doesn't quite hit the same, so they'll move down maybe as a couple, and then they'll just stay quite. Life will stay quite similar because they're still in their couple bubble. Do you know what I mean? Like it can sometimes, not always, but sometimes you can be a little bit like, oh, our life's kind of still the same, but now we're just paying more rent. And there is also, I have friends that have come down by themselves, and they've been like, just very lonely, not been able to make friends, not been able to have any sort of life, and then just gone, nah, this is not for me. I was so lucky because the first weekend that I moved down, I was somehow on Facebook Messenger. I'd messaged Nick and he'd replied, and we essentially hung out. We went to the studio, and any normal person would be like, okay, cool, it's nice to meet you, but see you next studio session type of thing. But Nick was like, oh, what are you doing, tomorrow type of thing. I'm like, I'm doing nothing. I know nobody. I don't know what I'm going to do. He's like, oh, just come hang out with us. And so through Nick, I, made a heap of different friends. All my connections in the music industry, everybody was through him. He really kind of put me on in a way, which I'm forever grateful for. And that led to the the adventure that kind of became of that. Because I'm a big believer in it. It's just it's so hard to do things by yourself, just from like like a mental health point of view of like trying to like cope every day, do things and push out and push yourself out there by yourself is so hard. But if you got a team, you got a squad, you got people that are really backing you, it's just way more fun, way more easy. So that whole era of my life was really magical as well. It kind of came in the context of feeling like in Nottingham I never felt like I fit in. I never felt like I really belonged there, really. I mean, I'll always love my home city, and it shaped me, and I love it. But I never felt like I never had that feeling of like
connection.
This is home for life. But as soon as I got to London, I was like,
boy, I'm here.
Yeah, it just had that feeling of like, wow, anything's possible. Everyone's a little bit of a misfit as well. I felt like a bit of a misfit in Nottingham. But in London, it felt like everyone was a bit of a misfit, particularly people that had moved here. It's like everybody had moved from their little place to be like, because they didn't really feel like they belonged. Came to London, it was like, it just clicked, felt exciting. Felt like everyone was trying to do something. Oh, man. So exciting.
Jill, you spoke about how hard it is. You kind of hit something there. You spoke about how hard it is to do things by yourself. Like,
yeah,
I couldn't even agree more about having the team around you and having a supporter, someone that just supports you. And when I mean supporter, I don't mean just as an artist. I mean, in everyday life, I think everyone needs at least one supporter, someone that's cheering for them on the sideline, that wants to see them win. Be that a friend or family, because for that, like, okay, you're going to have days when you're inspired and motivated and whatnot, but the days that you're not, you do need someone. You need that support system or someone just to say, keep going, or no, it's not that bad. You're going to get over this. I had a similar experience, my friend, not in London, when I moved to Dublin. I met my best friend Finn. The same thing. Finn just opened up this another world of like, oh, these are the people I connect with. These are the actual like artists and all that other world. But
I need to come to Dublin, man.
Yeah, man, definitely. I'll search it out. You let me know, and I'll let you know. We won't go to Temple Bar like every fucking other tourist. Well, no, we will. We will for the tourist experience. Then I'll bring you to the real folks. So you're down in London now. Are you down a couple of years before you start releasing like the EPs, like Long Sleeves and Every Vessel, or what's that? You're getting your grips. Obviously, Nick opens up this world. What's the starting, maybe before the EPs, maybe the gigging, getting your grips with like the music industry in London?
Yeah, it was a real kind of whirlwind of kind of couple of years. That first year. So the weird kind of context as well that it made it all even weirder was that I was working in Parliament for like the first couple of years.
Yes, I wanted to touch on this.
It was also so weird. I had like real two halves of my life. And so I was there in the day, and then in the evenings I'd be doing loads of like just random shows. So at the time, like Nick was kind of putting out a lot of music, just like literally like making projects and then putting them out there for free, and then doing. His name was kind of something that a lot of people wanted to know about, and so he was getting booked for loads of shows and stuff. And I would essentially go and kind of play guitar if he needed me to play guitar at sets, and I would sing choruses if he needed me to sing choruses. But regardless, even if I wasn't, I would just still be rolling, because it was a type of thing back then as well where we would all just go to each other's shows. So there's another girl called Mega as well, incredible singer. She's gone on to do just unbelievable things now. But she would be doing like little shows and stuff. We'd all be rolling to that. And I was kind of just sort of like soaking it all in. I would say the first year was very much me just soaking it all in and just being like, how does this work? Just going to every studio session that I can, being around it as much as I can. And then after a full year of doing that, it was like I had a word with one of the guys called Jojo. And I was like, you know what I mean? Do you want to like make music? And he was like, yeah. And so every Saturday, I would, without fail, I would be there I would bring him a chai latte from the Costa down on the bottom of Holloway Road.
Blogs and chai. Blogs and chai.
Yeah, which vibe and chai came from. And I would be there 10 a.m., 10:30. He would just kind of like switch on the Mac and stuff, and we just make music all day until people started turning up around 6 p.m. to like play FIFA, eat Chinese, whatnot, and then it would kind of sort of like tail off into a little bit of like a social evening. Sometimes we'd show them what we'd made, and then we just did that for like 6 months, maybe made a bunch of tunes, and then we picked a few to put on a project. But that felt really exciting because it was just like, again, man, Joe is one of the most special people I've ever met in my life. Just as like a visionary, as a producer, as everything. He's just like a natural leader. It's weird how people can be that. Like they don't even need to say anything.
The presence.
You're just a bit like you're like, what do you think? Because I feel like you've got the right answer, and it's fun. It's weird. It's weird that kind of trait actually. But he's definitely got that. He's not bossy. He's not dictator. He's not anything like that. But everyone's always just like, Joe, tell me what the answer is. Where do we go from here? And he'll be like, I think we should go there. So yeah, that was a real transitional point for me because it brought me out of like, oh, I'm, a chorus singer for like rap artists to actually like, this is who I want to be as an artist. Like I've got a voice.
Joel, I just ask you, touch on something there. You're on about these amazing people that you've met. Where it really, like, anyone who like listens to your music, follows you on social media, watches your interviews, listens to your interviews, there's a very core of authenticity. So you always seem to just attract. Now I'm sure you've attracted maybe one or two wrong people in your life, as we all do, unfortunately. But there seems to be a very consistent pattern and a consistency to the people you attract in your life. Are very good-hearted, very morally. Their moral compass is pointing in the right direction. Has it always been like that? Did you learn from mistakes to get that, or is that just something natural that's in your heart?
Well, that's such a good question. I would say when my heart is in the right place and when I feel like I'm doing well within myself, then you're right. Like I've been so lucky to be around so many fantastic people, like-minded people. But for sure, I've worked with some people that have been haven't been the best, or hasn't worked out the best, and it's been a bit, but I think that always comes from when then you start mixing this kind of the purity of making music and that with, I actually want to make some money as well, then those decisions can become a little bit trickier, because then you start entering a world where people aren't just in it just for vibes and fun and the wholesomeness. They're in it to make some cash. They can see you as a product, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I think there's just sometimes it's a bit bad when you kind of like mix that type of mindset with a naive mindset, which we all had at the start. we were all a bit. We didn't know the route. We didn't know the plan.
Do you think, just so when you were down in London and you're speaking about maybe some people that maybe blurred the line or maybe see you as a product, did it take a while to maybe you see the thing with creativity, Joel? You know yourself, you're always trying to remain naive. Yeah. You're always trying to remain in the childhood imagination. But unfortunately, it's the music industry, the music business. Was it easier, hard transitioning through that, as you see yourself as this incredible artist? Well, I see yourself as an incredible artist. Was it hard transitioning from being an artist to being an artist in the music business?
Yeah, great question. It was actually. Yeah, it really was. I could have, in retrospect, what would have been really helpful is taking like a year out or something like that to kind of sort myself out, or to have just to sort of step back and be like, okay, who do I actually want to be? Because I think my problem is that I had a bit too much of like, I'm just happy to be here mentality for a bit too long. I kind of like, I very quickly transitioned into like, I'm just happy to be here. Like, I'm just having jokes and funs and vibes, to like, oh no, like I deserve this and I deserve that and I should have that. And then it swung into a bit quite an unhealthy kind of, yeah, maybe, yeah. I just became a little bit, I don't know, I think my ego just started wanting things. I think my ego started thinking, oh wait, like, wow, like maybe I can get all like the love and kind of control and everything I've always wanted from this thing, from music. Like maybe I can.
You might let that one sit for a second. Let's just let that one sit. Bro got me in a therapy session over here. Jesus.
Yeah, and that's when I started to become a little bit like Gollum with the ring, you know, a little bit, and probably just, yeah, my intentions weren't always the best during a period of my life when, I don't know, just became a little bit entitled and kind of lost track, I think, of the big picture in the long term and what I was trying to do at the start, you know, and became a little bit more like, oh, this is all for me. I want to win, and I want to just a bit me centric, and it never works like that, you know.
Could you feel that, Joel, when, because it's something that like I'm huge into meditation, massive into meditation. Love walking on the grass, hugging the trees. That's me. And it's because I work in the music industry, music business, as well as being an artist, as well as multiple facets or whatever. So a lot of numbers, money driven things around me, which is great. Like, we're great, and I love it and focused. But at the same time, I find that side of me like coming out sometimes, and I feel like if I can use it correctly, it's beneficial. But sometimes I feel like you touched on there something I want to ask you just about maybe power, that, oh, this is how I get that power. Why would that thought entered your head? Why would you wanted that power in the first place?
It's because I've never felt powerful before. I never felt, I never felt popular. I never felt powerful. I was never like the popular kid at school. I was the shy kid in the corner. No one noticed. I was I wasn't the one that all the girls were like, yo, oh my gosh, I want to be with Joel. Like, no, like, and I think there was that sort of stuff starts getting into your head, and you start thinking of yourself as a little bit maybe like unlovable or unspecial, And I think a part of me like really, really yearns to be special, and I think music just kind of gave me that avenue of like where people were like, oh wow, you're really special, and I was like, whoa, I never want to lose that. In fact, I want to amplify that, and it became this thing of just like, wow, it's never enough now, like, and I think if maybe, the real problem I think came in when I started to think that money would make me special. I think that was where I think if I just focused it more on the music of like, okay, let me just make the best music I possibly can at all times. But it was a little bit like, well, I can do that. That might be like a 15-year project. Or I can just focus on trying to get as rich as I can quickly. And that feels like it might be, more of a 2 to 3 year plan. That feels more attractive to me. And particularly as well, I think in your 20s, I think there's this real big pressure to get your life sorted quickly. And you're looking over your shoulder, everybody else doing other jobs and stuff. And you're going like, wow, like, you've got nicer clothes than me. You've got great trainers. You seem sorted. You've got a retirement plan. You've got this. You've got that. You start to get a bit panicky, and you start to think like, man, I need like money to be somebody, I think. And it's easy because money is an easy data-driven thing to be like, oh, I can point to that bank account and I can go, oh, therefore my life means something. Whereas when you don't have that, you actually need to do a lot of inner work to be like, okay, my life. Yeah, but that takes so much work and so much death to yourself and your ego and all of that. It's a lot. So it's easier to be like, oh, let me just point out and let me just go get some cash, bring it back, and then I'm going to feel like, yeah, both myself as a person and my art is worth something because somebody's validated it with money. But that just led me down a path I don't think was particularly productive. But that being said, it's not to say I'm not disregarding money as an objective and as a goal, and to sustain yourself doing something you love and is really crucial. But I wasn't doing that. I wasn't using it for that.
You said something quite on point there. You said someone being someone because, I think in the lines of the line, being someone because of money. Or are you someone with money? Sorry, I was trying to line it up in my head there. It sounded good in my head. But it was like, are you someone, do you have money? Does that make you someone? Or are you someone already who has earned money? And I think definitely I can really relate to there at the moment is, I'll be honest too, there's this programmer I know, a dev, and he's same age as me, and dude's making, I don't know, he's making a lot of money. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, I'm kind of like, should be probably making moolah around now. Like, this would be a good time to make lots of money. And don't get me wrong, I'm definitely with what I'm putting my time into. I was on my journal, and I was writing in the back of my journal, you are what you invest in. So I've invested in myself. I'm investing in my podcast. I'm investing in their business we're building. I'm investing in my career. So I know what my 30s are going to look like. They're everything. I'm invested in my family, my friends. I have a good idea. Because sometimes we wonder, man, what's the future going to look like? Well, the future is going to look like indirectly what I'm doing now, but just at a bigger scale, because this is what I'm putting my time into.
Yeah.
But
like that.
Do you remember the moment where you kind of caught yourself? You kind of like, whoa, I think I'm maybe losing track of where I'm going here, and then kind of maybe found your path again.
Yeah.
Man got that Gucci. Rocking a Rolex. Saying fuck the fans, bro. I don't need you anymore.
Never. No, never. I never bought anything expensive. Never. I was too worried about losing it. You know? We were like going bankrupt. But it was more. That's the thing. I never got rich. I never ever got rich. But it was more like the mindset of like, whereas it was just like it was more like the mindset of like, that's the goal, is to get rich. But yeah, I mean, there was a few points. I mean, there was one point when actually a few of my friends called me actually.
Oh, what?
Be like, things seem off. Like your whole project just seems off at the moment. It's not right. Like features don't seem right. Like the whole thing doesn't. It's not got the same spirit. It just feels a bit weird.
Doesn't have the same essence. I was kind of
like, yeah, and I kind of, it was a bit of a, I don't know what you call it, a G check or something. Just like, yeah, I'm putting in the call, and a couple of people did it that I kind of respect, and I kind of got it, but then I also, but I wasn't ready to fully accept it. Then I was a bit like, yeah, okay, cool, I see what you're saying, but this is the justification of what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
But these were all the times that I was signed, so it was like, it wasn't like, it wasn't like me and my little speedboat. It was like a big old ferry with like loads of people on their hands on different steering wheels. It was hard to navigate.
You spoke about, Joel, just there previously about the people around you. That's a great example, like a really great example of like, because the ones that care about you are the ones that are going to say it. The ones who don't really care, they're with other intentions, they're not going to be the ones that ring you and check you. And you need someone to check you and give you that reality check. No pun intended with the money.
It's yeah, it's true. No, I really appreciate it. Actually, yeah, I really appreciate it from those guys. They are like, you know, they're real friends. They actually care about me and my music and stuff. I guess they felt like emotionally invested in it and stuff, and so I appreciated that.
Feel that?
That was a bit of a weird sort of time in my journey, but I don't regret. I'm come to realize that I used to regret it big time. I've come to realize I don't really regret it anymore. I'd so much just see it more of like a layer, like in my life, and it just makes the journey a bit more kind of like interesting. It's just part of the layers of things, you know. Yeah.
Joel, further than feelings. What's that song mean to you, and what impact did it have when it came out?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so grateful for that song, man. Because what was a silly little song, but it was like it did a lot for me. Like yeah. That was just one that I just again took some chords from
song.
One of my favorites at the time. Yeah. Took some chords, wrote this, and I actually had that chorus for a little while of just the idea of like throw away the butterflies, grow eagle's wings. I had that for a while.
Poetry, man.
And I essentially I just come back. I'd actually wrote it the night of I came back from a date, and it was essentially kind of like a response of that, of like it was a bit of like a, you know, what I really want. This is all cool. This kind of like butterflies and feeling like, you know, pretty things inside. But actually, what I really crave and what I really like yearn for is that real love. You know, that's which is so cringy.
Not at all, man.
For like a 21-year-old to say. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, chill out, bro. Like you're 21. Just get on with it. You know what I mean? Why are you writing serious songs about, you know? But that's just kind of like how I felt, and then I brought it to. I actually played it live first. I remember playing it live at the Roundhouse. Funnily enough, this is bad, but I was actually supporting Little Simz. Can you believe that?
That was my next question. I was literally
Yeah, right. That how weird is that? Like I got to know her a little bit. We did a track together, which is also hilarious. And you know, we'd go around hers with her auntie and stuff like that and record little bits and pieces. She used to come to Holloway Road as well with all the, you know, make some bits. But yeah, she asked me to come and play to support her at Roundhouse. I think she was literally like 14 at the time.
Wow.
Something like way too young to be headlining anything. And she was doing this show. Yeah. But I remember playing Further Than Feelings, just testing it out at that show, and people were like, oh, like you can tell, right? Like, people were like, oh, I love this. So I was like, I need to record this ASAP, and did so. And just, yeah, man, that song just did really well for me. I'm so grateful for that song, man.
Now, Joel, is that the same song that started getting played on Nottingham BBC, and you said or is that a different song? Because you get
that's the same song.
You get an email every time it gets played, which is gas. When you were dead, so you're in London, you're releasing music, the EPs. What's it like brushing? Did you kind of see within the artist, okay, I think that person is going to go far? Because again, you are who attract, like great musicians attract great musicians in terms of the frequency they're on. So were you kind of looking around and like, oh, I can that artist over there, they're going to do this something special about them?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. There were quite a few people at that time. It felt, what was refreshing about that time was, and I feel like a granddad for saying it, but it was because social media wasn't really much of a thing. Do you know what I mean? It was more like you need to turn up to the gig nights and the showcase nights and all of that. You need to be there. So all of those nights were like full always with people. And yeah, you could tell pretty early on, like, oh, that guy's going to do really well. Like, remember Jacob Banks pretty early on? he was on all the same showcase events as me, and he could just hold a crowd really easily. His voice was just very mesmerizing. JP Cooper as well was just like very...
Shout out JP.
Yeah, mesmerizing guy, and just kind of just effortless in like what he could do. And he had a bit of like a bendy path in finding his way, but then managed to find it eventually. Yeah, I mean, Lil Simz is one that was just like, well, you're just gonna work harder than everybody else, aren't you? I guess you're gonna do whatever you want to do, because you're like 14, 15, like putting on headline shows.
The mentality,
like,
man. Mentality.
I was playing PlayStation at that age, just like
what were you playing at that age?
Nothing. I mean, GTA probably, San Andreas probably, or a lot of FIFA.
I'll meet you back here in a year, and we'll take off a full month and just play the new Grand Theft Auto.
Because I'm down. I'm fully down.
Joel,
yeah.
You went obviously through the next years and whatnot. You go on many tours. What are some, before I get to my next question about one big tour, what are your memories of touring, and what did it teach you as an artist?
Oh, mate, yeah, the tours is touring.
Why would I go touring if you're not on the tour bus?
Why would I? I mean, tour. Yeah. I hope I get to go on a tour again soon, man, because it's just like it feels like every day you wake up and it's like Christmas Day. It's just, that's the feeling. It's like you wake up that day and you go, all we gotta do today is find a coffee shop nearby. It's a random city. Plan the day ahead. Maybe a bit of content. I mean, I guess now it'd be a lot of like, what's the TikTok and all of that. But all you've really got to do that day is just like looking forward to a show. That's it. It's like such a glorious way to live. And you're on tour with probably really good friends, because why would you go on tour with random people? So you know, you're on tour with your mates. You're in new cities. You're in, you know, you're doing what you love. And the other cool thing about tours is that when you do shows, there's always a little bit of like nerves, right? You're a bit like, oh, I hope this song goes well. I hope that song goes well. But tour doesn't have any of that, because once you've done the first show, you're like, okay, that works.
Kind of sets the tone.
That we know all the songs work. We know how everything goes. Cool. And then so from day two, you're not nervous at all, because you've literally done exactly the same thing. There's no nerves involved. You can just purely enjoy it. Oh mate, yeah, it's what a way to live. I think I enjoy it too much though to do it. If I ever got to do it full time, I'll be like, you know, these guys that just never come home from tour. That would be me. So it's probably a good thing that I don't have that opportunity quite yet.
What's a funny memory from your time touring? What's something that stands out, either a funny or just a unique moment you're like, oh, I'm gonna remember this? We'll get to the big arena tour in a second, but what's just something, it could have been small with a fan, or something happened, or does anything stand out for your tour?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's how I rifle through my brain now of like semi PG suitable things to say from tour.
It's like you start speaking and it's just beep, 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 beep.
Exactly that. I mean, trying to think about things that would be like,
or just a great memory.
Yeah. I mean, so many cool things. The slightly hard thing about tour memories and stuff as well is that it becomes a little bit like a private WhatsApp group in a way.
Interesting.
You know, and so everything's like hilarious to you all. It's funny, and you're like, oh my god, you remember that, you know, Bill that does the food, like, oh my god. But I think one of the things that's so depressing about coming off tour is that then you're surrounded by people that don't know any of that, and so that you're like, oh yeah, you know, like Bill the food guy, right? And everyone's like, I don't. Who is that? And you're like, oh, You just had to be there, man. Like, you just had to be there. Like, it's just, it was. Yeah, I will say my favorite ever tour experience was I went on tour with Revolver Held, big German band, and as well just like who I went on tour with as well. So it was Ross, my manager at the time, who, bless his soul, like decided to like drive us the entire
across Europe.
way. Yeah, so like what the hell? So literally picked us up in like Willesden, drove all the way down, went on the ferry over the thing and drove us all around Europe. Like, what a nutter. Ross also like had his son's birthday on day off in Hamburg. Right. So parked up in Hamburg, took a flight there back to London, went to his son's birthday, took a flight back the same night, and then kept driving.
Commitment.
Mad.
Commitment.
Very, 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 very committed. But yeah, I was there with one of my best mates, Sam Brown, one of my best mates, Daniel, on drums, and we just every day on the road, like, yeah, Daniel loves to like freestyle rap as well, so we'd be like putting on beats and just like throwing words at him, and he'd be like coming up with all these very unsuitable freestyle raps. I think Sam would kind of like enjoy it, and then about an hour later, he would goes off. But I would just be still just gassing up Daniel, like, yeah, again, do it again. Yeah, so that was a great memory.
I love that, man. You talk about it, it's so funny because you only get that if you're friends with rappers who'll just start like freestyling about something. And you're like, everyone's enjoying it for the first 10 minutes. And then a half an hour later, they're still doing it. You're like, man, just leave it. Like, we have a good one, me and my friend Finn Upbeat, where there's this American rapper. I won't say what rapper he is, but we always put on his accent. And then my friend Nathan, we were shooting this documentary and we were all across Ireland for my friend Upbeat's mixtape. And my friend Nathan, we're like, it's Nate Sheridan, Nate Sheridan, travel around the world, like just like useless raps, but the funniest thing ever. Like, it's just so funny.
That is funny.
Yeah,
I love that.
That 2019 tour, the arenas.
Yeah.
Wow. Going from them small shows, Nottingham, and now you're doing arena tours. What did that feel like?
That felt. I will be eternally grateful for that tour, man. Because I was just like, that's always like in the back of my mind. That's always what I wanted to do. I think when I was like 15 years old, like this is a Jimi Hendrix and all that, and playing guitar and everything like that. I just always wanted to do that. I wanted to play solos and stuff like in big arenas and all of that, and so getting the opportunity to do that was amazing. Also very grateful that I got to do it across Europe, because the problem with arenas in England is that nobody turns up either for the support act.
Okay.
So, but in Europe, very much the etiquette is you turn up for the whole thing. So it was a full crowd, and they were very open to audience participation and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was an absolute like dream come true.
What was it like? Because I guess it's always a question that artists get asked, but when you're performing, you have a code where if you're not happy, I'm paraphrasing here now, but if you're not happy in playing in front of 10 people, if you're not happy in front. Oh, wait 1 second. Joel, I've made a mistake. Guys, I'm going to put in some noise here to clean this part up. It's along the lines of being happy to perform in front of 10 people as well as 1,000 people. So going from performing in front of 10, 100, and now thousands of people, what's the connection like? What's the difference in performance in comparison?
Yeah, that's a great question. The funny thing about that tour is it actually was very much connected to that question you just asked, because so the summer before, I'd actually gone to do a festival in Switzerland, and it was an amazing festival, to be fair. But it was organised by this little group of girls that basically been given a ton of money. This organised little boutique festival. 100, yeah, genuinely. I think it might have been the first year that they did it. I'm not sure if they've even done it again. But it was all these like artists across Europe and everything, and we got like paid like a decent amount for it. And so we were thinking, wow, there must be a lot of people that's going to attend, and we got paid a lot for it. So when we turned up there, and we got like chauffeured from like the airport in like a branded Subaru and everything. We're thinking like, flip, this festival is going to be massive. Like what? But then when we turned up, like, yeah, the venues were small, and we were on like the second or third stage. It was like this acoustic-y kind of thing, and it was essentially 20 people max there, max. Like, I think probably 2 people went to the bathroom like at some point. It felt like 15. Like, and everyone was just sat on the floor. There was a very basic PA system, very basic. And me and Joe were looking at each other like, this is so weird. And but we were like, who cares? Like, we're just gonna go in and we're just gonna make it as good as we can. So for this very small group of people, we just went all out, did our thing, loads of audience participation and everything. And it turned out to be like a really enjoyable sofa soundsy kind of type of gig. And at the end of that gig, this guy comes up to me and he's like, that's been in the crowd, and he's like, oh, hi, like, my name's Johannes and I'm in a band. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? This is where you tell me like, oh yeah, I'm in a band too type of thing. Okay, cool, bro. Like, do you think, man? And he's like, I'm gonna send you a DM later because I'd like love for you to come on tour with me. And I was a bit like, okay, like a bit random, but whatever. And then he sends me this DM later, and it's from this like massive account, like they've got like, I don't know, however many followers. I'm seeing they're actually like a giant band. And yeah, he was like, I was just on holiday with my wife at the time, and in this random place in Switzerland, and I saw they had a festival, so we were like, why not? Like, let's just go and see some music. And yeah, and then from there, because he liked the music, he was like, yeah, like you got to come on tour with us. That felt like such, I guess, validation for the amount of shows that I had done to 15 people, but still tried to give it my all. That it felt worth it for every single one of them, just for that moment to be like, yeah, okay, for Johannes to be like, yeah, this guy's really good, man. I like him. Let's bring him on tour in front of 15,000 people. Yeah, that was one of my life highlights for sure.
Joe, I got goosebumps when I was listening there, because it's the ultimate example of you never know who's watching. You never know who's... And it's such a cliche thing to tell anyone. You never know who's watching, then go, oh, it's all right saying that, but I've put up 300 videos and done 150 gigs. Nobody's fucking watching. But at the same time, someone's always watching. Someone who you least expected that could change your entire life. Going back to just your original point about meeting people and how people open doors in terms of the people around you. You could have easily turned up there and go, F this, fuck this. We're just going to fuck about here. We got paid to be here. Who cares? But you've seen the opportunity of, wait, let's give them the best gig we fucking can, and have, this is what we do. This is who we are. And then that leads to that. Like, that's just bonkers. And a universe thing. It's a universe thing, like giving. Just always like giving, and it does come back. It might come back in small ways. It might come back in big ways. In your case, that was a huge. But it was like, there's in Atomic Habits, I mentioned on the previous podcast, I got to get more quotes. Your work isn't being wasted, it's just being stored. And the moment that you stop storing it is the moment it gets wasted. Wow. And you've been storing that. It was just... Yeah. So that's incredible. Joe,
I like that.
I'm going to do a little section now called Quickfire Questions, and then there's just one or two other things I want to touch on, as I'm very aware of your time. But yeah, this is for all my avid listeners. I have 32 avid listeners, right? And they've been coming in every week. Shout out my listeners. They're real ones. We're also, guys, if you don't follow, I'm 5 away from hitting 50 followers, so be sure to follow on Spotify. But yeah, come on. This section is called Quickfire Questions. And it's just like fun questions, like one-word answers, whatever you would like to give. So
You love that.
It's time for quick fire questions. Okay, Joe. So, favorite cereal?
Crunchy nuts and like the chocolate version of that. Yeah, it's like crunchy nut clusters, I think it's called.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Favorite film of all time?
I'm gonna struggle with this quiz. Favorite film of all time: School of Rock.
Banger. Where did you have your first drink?
A pub in Beeston with Joel Brown. My first pint was a Guinness.
Hey, I hope it was proper Guinness, because sometimes, English Guinness be a bit, woo. Favorite pop drink?
Rubicon Mango.
Perfect. Favorite sports person of all time, or sportswoman?
Didier Drogba.
Drogba, you a Chelsea fan? Hey, yeah, I'm a Chelsea fan too. This is great. Favorite fictional character of all time?
Ooh, favorite fictional character of all time. I've always had a thing for Batman, I don't know why.
Hey, he's a handsome guy. He's a handsome guy.
I like that whole story. Yeah, I like that whole mainly Batman.
Incredible. And last but not least, favorite. This is a tough one. I understand that they're just fun questions, but favorite song of all time. It doesn't have to be of all time. It could be just this week or last month, or because it is a big question. Like, what type of question is that? Favorite song of all time?
It has to be. Leonard Cohen. Hallelujah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Hey, smooth with it there. Sometimes people they're not really sure what to say, but that was very smooth, Joe. That was very smooth. Okie dokie. I just wanna get on to a few maybe deeper things now.
Yeah.
So I want to read you some quotes, if that's okay, Joe. If that's okay. Now, I don't have my glasses, but guys, I'm getting glasses again. I got because I sat on my glasses like the third time. It's stupid. I know. What can you do? Right. So I just want to read. So this is from your song "Home Sweet Home." Or Hope Sweet Hope. Sorry, my bad. So these are the lyrics. My best friend died this year and it really fucked with me. Covered me in black tar. Everything stuck with me. A slither or something that keeps me from jumping is the last thing I wrote back was that I love him. Man, wowzers. Hearing them lyrics, where did they bring you? And if you could maybe speak about your friend and whatnot, and what he means to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that song was very much written about my friend Caleb, and yeah, I was so man. That song just kind of came out of nowhere, really. From that was the weirdest like 6-7 months of my life. Like I felt like I lived a whole lifetime in those 6 or 7 months of essentially, like, yeah, Caleb, was and feels like still is like one of my best friends in this world. Somebody, I was speaking before about those people that are just like natural leaders and natural people that you just like, what are we doing today? And they'll be like, this is what we're doing. You're like, oh, okay, cool. And he was very much a leader in all parts of my life. I felt like I knew him in a way that maybe nobody else knew him, in a sense. Like he could very much be himself around me in a way he might not be been able to be around with other people. And that filled me with an enormous sense of like privilege. And he passed away very tragically in an accident right before COVID happened. We all went to Ethiopia for the funeral at the very end of February, and we were noticing on the plane back, like everybody had these masks on, and we were like, it's so weird that everyone's got masks on. So weird that people are taking this thing seriously and whatnot. And the day that I landed back from Ethiopia, it was pretty much like lockdown was announced. And so I kind of came fresh from the back of like losing my best mate, back from Ethiopia, went straight into lockdown and went to live in Devon for a while, which is where my now wife is from. And then life very much like kind of like unraveled a lot of the identities and a lot of the things in my life that I'd held on really, really tightly to kind of like became loose and then fell away. Very long story, but too long to tell. And it changed me like completely. I then like got married like in my wife's back garden and stuff like that. So it was like this entire like identity shift. And then I wrote this song in November 2020, just as I was about to leave Devon to come back to London. And it was just like, I didn't know how to think or how to feel. But this kind of song just kind of came out. I just like wrote it randomly one morning. And yeah, and I remember showing it to Sarah like that evening. Just like, I just wrote this song. And just cried my way through the whole song. Just like ugly teared crying through the whole song. And I felt like, like I needed this. This is how I've been feeling for ages and I don't know how to express it. So yeah, I'm very grateful for it. And also I love singing it, man, because it just reminds me of my boy. You know what I mean? It's just like, it feels like I get to talk about him through it. So yeah, man.
Can I read you just some more lyrics from it, if that's all right, Joe?
Cool, absolutely.
Damn, I'm really missing these glasses, guys. Not gonna lie. Well, I had a dream that you were alive and we were arriving up at an island. I think I've outgrown the plant that grew me. It turns out that freedom comes without through me. So I had a dream where we were both on an island. So I'm very blessed, man. I'm very blessed with the friends I have. And from time to time, unfortunately, while the person is still healthy and alive, I'm like, kind of felt like I lost a friend recently. But when you have someone you make so many memories with and so many cherished moments with, and even funny texts, like you text them back and forth or hit them with a snap or just something that like them inner jokes. And then you have like a dream like that where he pops back in and for them couple of seconds or he's there with you again. What's that grieving process like? Your bestie, like missing your best friend.
Yeah, it's really hard. You know, it's really, really hard. There's lots of comfort to it though as well, in the sense of, you know, I know his sisters really well. And when we're together, we can talk about him. He made such a mad impact on a lot of people in London. And so there's always people that we kind of run into that I can talk to about him. There's a bunch of WhatsApp groups that I'm a part of that are about him. We've got this new thing now where we play a football game every year to kind of mark like his life. And so it very like, hasn't been a lonely experience grieving, which is different. Sometimes it can be. Sometimes like a family member can pass away and stuff, and it feels like flip. Like I'm the only person that really knows who they were, and you kind of go through it a little bit more. It can be a bit more painful that way. There's a lot. It's been a bit more of a joyful process in that sense. His life had so much of a cause as well that it's like, it's easy to keep that like going, and it's easy to feel like he's still here by keeping that cause going, is what I should say. Which is really nice. There's so much that helps feel like he's still with us and he's still here.
Well, he is, man. And I'm sure he's listening right now.
Yeah. So like, yeah, but man, like it's just so painful. Like any grief is. The worst part is all the things that you just think like, oh, they would love to be here to see this. You know, like his sisters. Both of his sisters now have gone on to have kids and stuff, and you just think like, oh man, like he would have loved to see all of that. He would have loved to be there for all of that. He would have, you know, all the things that, you know, all the stuff going on with Israel Palestine right now. You just think like, oh man, we need Caleb here to tell us like what to think and what to post and how to be and how to react. And there's so much of life that goes by. You just think, man, we need Caleb here, you know.
But man, so looking forward to seeing him again. At one point, one day.
I love that. I love the way you described it too. That feeling like that, like, man, I wish he was here with us. Like, you're like, it's not like it does hurt, but it's like, man, he'd love this. He really would love this. Like, I think that's quite endearing. Yeah, Joe. Now, Joe, sorry, well, I know you said you were comfortable with this, so can I read you lyrics from another song, Joel, if that's okay?
Absolutely, yeah.
Second, let me bring this. So again, this is one of my favorites off the album. 1 second, let me read it.
Oh,
so. Listen, Ma, I miss you like a miss alarm. I miss you every day still. You know that I miss you tons. I write to you in my dreams and my thoughts alive. I've been writing words to heal. You taught me right. Well, you're my flower, you're my yeast. Yeah, I need you. I've been trying to disguise, but I'm see-through. I've been trying to freeze the tears, but they snowball. I'd do anything today for a phone call. Again, man. Poetry in motion, man. Like, poetry in motion, man.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I love that song, man.
Love that. Powerful words. Was that a tough song to write, or was it similar where there was a piece of joy remembering good moments of with you and your mama bear?
Yeah, that was a really interesting song, and sometimes this happens with songs. Home Sweet Home is more like. They're the kind of enjoyable songs where it feels like it just comes all at once, and you tweak a little bit here and there, maybe tweak a bit of the structure. Production can take a bit of time, but all in all, it feels like it just kind of comes out of you. One more time, that song felt like it took so long to write. It felt like a real marathon. But I'm glad I persevered, because now I can sing it all and I'm like, yeah, it feels like how it should be. But essentially it came, a friend of mine called Mass Times Joy sent me a little beat pack. Like 2018, I think it was. So it was a long time ago. And yeah, that beat came on and it kind of got the idea for the song and stuff like that. And back then I was writing letters back and forth to my mom. So I would write her a letter and then I'd write one back from her to me. So I kind of got into that habit of like thinking about what she would think or say and stuff like that. So I knew I wanted it to be like that, but it just, just like the flow of things, like just took me ages to figure out. It just felt clunky for a long time. But yeah, really, man, yeah. I love that song, and I'm so gassed that I managed to get Flores on the chorus of that, because she has one of my all-time favorite voices, and I thought she might be like, nah, like I don't want to do, I don't do collabs or anything like that. I thought like it might be one of those things like, nah, but when she said yes, I was so excited. She's got this like angelic voice to me, so. That was really, really special. That's a really special song to me, man.
Yeah, man, I love that song. Joel, do you mind me asking, for someone that might be going through the grieving process right now of a loved one, what are little things that helped you through either losing your friend or your mother that maybe could help someone else that you learned just maybe going through the process? I'm still going through the process because I know it's a never-ending healing.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I'm actually, it's funny you say that, because actually in the process at the moment of like writing a little book about this, of just like it being the thing that you buy for somebody the day that they lose somebody. That's the purpose of the book, because I find that for most people, particularly if you haven't lost somebody, but even if sometimes you have, the temptation is just to be a bit like, oh man, there's no words for this, or I don't even know what to say, but I just, like, it can all get a bit awkward and a bit weird. It's sometimes impossible to say anything. And in fact, sometimes the words aren't really what's important. It's more just like kind of showing up and being there, and just, even if sending a heart emoji might be the right thing to do, just like, but consistently. And I just wanted it. I also wanted it to be a little bit of a roadmap, of like what you will probably go through. Because what I've noticed is that a lot of my friends that have lost people as well have gone through similar roadmaps. It's not always the same, but there's a kind of a thing of what happens where there's like the shock of them passing away, and that the shock happens whether you know for a year that they're dying or you know that for 5 years that they're dying. It doesn't matter. You can do as much pre-grief as you want. When they actually go, it's like, whoa, like the world has shifted. And the first few weeks can actually, the shock almost like keeps you going in a way. Like you're planning funerals, you're getting loads of condolences, you know, there might be people in your DMs being like, I'm so sorry. You're getting texts, you're getting calls, you're getting flowers, and all that sort of stuff keeps you, I don't know, preserved in some sort of normality, even though you're crying and even though you're whatever. But actually, it's like the bit after that, like the condolences start drying up, and you almost like descend into this like cave, you know, where, and all of a sudden, like food doesn't taste the same, and you're like, TV doesn't hit the same, and even your like life doesn't really hit the same. It's like, why am I aiming to do this anymore? Why am I trying to climb this career ladder? Or why am I... Everything just... All your perspectives just go out the window, and that can be really disorientating. You know, you'll be out with your friends and they'll be discussing like, yeah, well, I really like, you know, like, I really want to go on a holiday to like, you know, to Australia this year and all of that. And you're just listening to like, it's like, I don't care about none of this. And that can make you feel really like isolated. But it's like knowing that, you know, that sort of that cloud will pass. The problem is that sometimes people can start thinking that cloud is never going to pass, and this is me now. But almost like kind of through that, you find like a new world. The other thing, the common misconception is it's like, oh, well, things will go back to normal. But nothing will ever go back to normal. Nothing's ever... I mean, yeah, not like, forget normal now. Like there is before and then there's after, and that's kind of like what life's all about. But in that after, it's like you can then you build your you build a world where it still includes that person and things that you do, and you know, runs that you run and decisions that you make are now for other people, or that you know, they're in your mission, they're in your life, and in a weird way, you almost you almost become closer to those people that you really love, because they're now like woven into your very being. Your cause for being is now interwoven with them. But I mean, my having just gone on that massive ramble, which I just realized I could talk about it for hours, but I can't really. But what I would say is that the biggest thing is just like find other people that understand, and forgive the people that don't. Because there's always time. You know, people won't understand. People will say the wrong thing, and it's fine. It's absolutely fine. They're probably regurgitating things that were said to them at hard times in their life that were also unhelpful. So just forgive them, but find the people that understand. Find the other people that have lost people and cling on to them. And then when the time comes to also be that friend for somebody else that's lost someone, then that's your time to be that friend as well. Yeah.
Facts, man. Facts. A lot of gems in there. A lot of gems in there.
The gem statement is a piece of Alexa, stop.
I don't trust Alexa, man. I ain't got no Alexa Miles. Joel, there's one bit there. The consistency of caring. I think you said sometimes it's not words. It could be a heart emoji, but consistently it's just caring. And like sometimes you don't have the words, no matter how good of a English for story. No matter how good or how you could have the greatest idea, awareness, and knowledge of the English language, but when it comes to sometimes conveying emotions, you're like, how do I articulate this for the person to show that like know that I care. And sometimes it isn't the words, it's just a hug, it's just a text, an emoji thing, and I'm thinking of you, like, and that means a lot to a lot of people. Be it you've lost someone or going through something, that someone out there has taken their time to send you a message or reach out. It's very meaningful. It's very, very meaningful. But yeah, Wowzers, man, yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you for going in and out of them emotions and sharing them words. I appreciate you lots.
Pleasure.
Appreciate you lots. Joel, I'm going to bring things to a close there. Dun, 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 dun. Just one or two last things I want to touch on. And thank you again. This has been wonderful. Like, this has really been a joyful experience. You're someone that has a very sense of peace. Is that something that you've always carried with you, or is that something you've learned through your trials and tribulations and your ups and downs?
That's very kind of you to say. Yeah, maybe I wouldn't say I necessarily. That's funny, because I wouldn't even necessarily think of myself as somebody like peaceful. I think it's maybe in my own head it's so noisy and not peaceful, you know. But I appreciate that. I mean, yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe kind of like, you know, I go to church every Sunday, and I think that helps just maybe like recenter my priorities, maybe in myself, of like helps to not like run away with the noise of life and the noise of trying to be something or somebody. Like recenters me into something. Maybe helps with that. I think being married helps with that. Like, you know, my wife is amazing and helps keep me peaceful. She's also very peaceful. She's next level peaceful. So maybe just a bit of her peace is rubbed off onto me. Maybe
that was it was beautiful. You chat about your wife through songs and whatnot, and there was a clip I caught where Tortoise, where at Love Island, where your manager and her knew was going to come on, and oh man, the reaction is priceless. Your reaction is so, it's literally like a 10-year-old go, wait, Tortoise, that's my song, and then you run over the telly and turn it up. Oh man, that was very good. I like that. Joel, do you still put your music at the end of the OC season 1 finale?
I love that. I did. That's so funny. Still my favorite TV show of all time. And
to see if it's heartful. Is it what? To see if it hits and the emotions of it.
So yeah, I definitely still use like clips from the OC to like just test certain songs. Like, does this work over like? Does this feel right? Do you know what I mean? Does this give me the emotion that I'm looking for? Because all those songs in the OC, I feel like the sync team did a really good job actually in that show. I think
sync team.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I think the sync team did a great
job. The unknown
job.
Heroes of the music industry, the sync team.
Honestly,
saving lives out here, giving them families money.
100. They would have got nice money as well. Yeah, man. If the OC was still going on, that would definitely be my biggest goal in life.
Love that. And what about the music box? The music box. Have you been in that recently, or?
What's the music box?
So the music box was a Nottingham paper, I think, a newspaper, and there was 2 other artists, and I can't remember. And then there was Joel Baker, a little bit written about you.
That's so funny. The music box.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the
jokes. Probably. I mean, yeah, almost probably. Let's see, music box London. I think it's
Nottingham paper, music box Nottingham. I think it was like
music box. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mate, I'll send you a link for you.
I'm getting some press I didn't even realize.
Well, you posted about it. That's how I found it.
Oh, really?
It's years ago. I think it's like 2013 or something. Right?
Oh, really? Yeah, I remember early on as well getting some like bad press from like a Nottingham paper. Which was like it was also so brutal. Yeah, some like absolute asshole. Some I think it was from the Nottingham Post or something like that. And I headlined some Nottingham festival and whatever, and the article was all about like, why have we got Joel Baker to headline this festival? This is a disgrace or whatever.
Damn paparazzi.
So I think I came from him on Twitter. I think a little bit. I think they might have taken it down.
I didn't go through your Twitter, because Twitter's so hard to go through the archives. So I never, but I know that you've had your Twitter. I was like, should I go through his Twitter? I'd say there's some gems on his Twitter, man. Because Twitter is the greatest example of like saying something and forgetting you've ever said it in your entire life.
Yeah, I need to do that thing where it deletes all your tweets. I think like that.
Feel that.
Feel that. Do you know what I mean? There's also it's a shame. It would be a shame to do that because I feel like there's probably also a lot of gold. But maybe I spend one day. Maybe there's someone I just go through, you know. But I've definitely done the check that I've been like, have I said anything crazy? And I feel like I'm all right. So
love it. Sure. I'm going to bring things to a close, and as this is the One Step at a Time podcast, it's all about the incremental steps one must take in order to make progress on their path. So, with that being said, Joel, what's one piece of advice you would give an artist that's either on their journey already or about to embark on their journey as a musician or an artist?
Think big picture, think long term. Always think about every decision that you make, everything that you know release out there. Always be thinking like, okay, when I look back on this when I'm 50 and I'm 60, am I going to be proud of it? Is it going to be something that, you know, I'm like so happy to have done? Or is it for like a quick win? Because the quick wins never last. You know, you want to put logs on the fire, not little matches. So think about, what will I look back on when I'm 60, 70-year-old, and I'm going to show my grandkids, and they're going to be like, oh, wow, Granddad, this is cool.
I love that. I want to mention one last thing that maybe a lot of people on social media might not see the side of you, but I had the pleasure. So I'd been a fan of you. For context, I found you via Tortoise, been a fan of you, and then you were doing the writing sessions where you get people on. And I hopped on the writing session, and for those of you who don't know, Joel's also a teacher. I would have went into more. I should have went into more of that, but shout out, you're teaching. But we're doing the writing session, and there was a girl on the writing session, and she was just very anxious to say her piece, read her piece that she had written. But man, how caring, calm, and kind you were in the way you treated her, like, it was amazing, man. You just like, whenever you're ready, you can do it, and you give her a place to be seen and to say her lyrics or her poetry at the time. And man, I thought that was very special. I think that's maybe not something that everyone gets to see, but I had the pleasure of seeing it firsthand, and it was a beautiful moment to see. That's the first thing I said after to the lads. I was like, oh man, you should have been there for this. Like, it was really beautiful.
Really? Oh, yeah, that's very kind of you to say, man. Yeah. Now, yeah, the bakery is a really cool thing. It's a really special place, man. We've got some really cool individuals that are, you know, and the cool thing is everyone's from around the world, you know, and that feels quite special, you know.
I love it, man.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you could make it that time.
Yeah, it was dope.
It was great having you.
And you wrote, oh man, it was something to do with a monk, or what was it? I can't remember. It was something you were just writing. I can't remember now, but it was, I got off the call and I was like to the lads, I was like, man, there's levels to this. Like, this dude is fucking nuts. Yeah. Because like, I'm at the point now as an artist where I'm very much focused on the trajectory of going forward and where I need to be and where I need to hit. And I'm focused on getting there, but I am a long way to get there yet, but I'm in the progress. But I'm confident. Like, you have to be confident to step in the room now, or it's, if you don't like decide you're confident and you're the artist that can step in the room with anyone. And I was there and I was like, if we were in a room now, I was like, that dude would be definitely center of attention in the right. I'd be like, I'll take a step back on this one. But Joel, I'm going to end it there, my man. Thank you again for hopping on, and appreciate you lots. Guys.
Yeah, appreciate you.
This has been another episode of the One Step at a Time podcast with your host, the Ocean Flight 111, heading straight to full potential with Sarah Delays. Joel, don't have a good day. Have a great day. 100%, man. 100%.
Right. Thank you so much, my brother.
Nada, man. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it goes late nights on the road. Yeah, that's just how it goes. Yeah, that's just how it goes these days. I'ma try my best to make this flight, but if I don't wake up tomorrow, then the sun will still be. Yeah, it goes late nights on the road. Yeah, that's just how it goes. Yeah, that's just how it goes these days. I'ma try my best to make this flight, but if I don't wake up tomorrow, then the sun will still be bright.